Welcome to Shawn and Carter Have a Podcast. My name is Shawn.
And I'm Carter.
I'm back and I'm burnt.
You're burnt from the sun.
Yeah.
The radiation from the sun.
I'm what you'd call indoorsy.
Do you say that? I say that.
I think I say it because you said it somewhere. Maybe on one of your videos way back in the day. Sounds like a Mike Birbiglia line or something.
You know what? I think it might be Mike Birbiglia. It sounds like Mike Birbiglia.
Yeah, Alicia goes for jogs and stuff. I will exercise, but I fucking hate running, so I don't do it. And so for like the last month, she's been going out in tank tops. She's like, I'm gonna get a little bit of sun on me so that when we go to the beach, I don't burn. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be in here editing. Thank you very much. And so sure enough, we go to the beach. She looks nice and tan, and I am a tomato. And I'm just dealing with it. Like we got home, we drove overnight so that we could get home well, it was still dark and we could go to sleep. So I'm falling asleep and I'm like, my skin is on fire right now.
So Shawn and I are, we're not old, but we're not young either. So, and I think it sounds like this applies to both of us. I never learn that the sun burns your skin, even though I've gone through many summers. I also was like out in the woods this past weekend, and everyone was like putting sunscreen on, and I'm like, I'm good, I'm fine, nah, it's cool. And I'm really dumb. I wore a long sleeve shirt, even though it was like 9,000 degrees in the middle of Virginia this past week. I wore a long sleeve shirt rolled up like a quarter, right? Like rolled up like 2 notches. I have the most interesting burns that you could imagine. It's like a farmer's tan. It's not a farmer's tan. It's like an office worker tan. So
it's a blue collar tan.
Yeah, I only got sun, like 3 inches down from my wrist and on my hands, and then on my neck, and I wore flip flops. Stupidly enough,
haven't we heard that story already?
We heard that one. I'm burnt. I've got the flip flop burn and the office worker burn, and then on the back of my neck.
Right.
And I'm so stupid that I got burnt, and I knew about it. I'm like, damn, I got burnt. And I went out the next day, and I still didn't do anything about it. I'm like, man, whatever. I'll live.
I know that I'm going to burn, and I continuously apply SPF 50. Because I read somewhere, and I, as far as I know, this is true, anything over 50 is ineffective. Like, if you put on 85, it's not going to do any better than 50. So stop wasting your money, kids. But I was putting it on, like, every 2-3 hours. Doesn't matter. I'm too pale. I'm too white. So I have a light red coating on the tops of my arms, back of my neck, and even the tops of my feet, even though I tried to keep them buried in the sand.
I was surprised that I actually kind of tanned up. I think I don't know.
I was able to stay inside long enough that I think I had to recharge my Nintendo DS every day.
A lot of DS going on.
Yeah, I was doing it. A lot of Animal Crossing. I have a puzzle game called Picross 3D. You take this 3D block that's like 4x4x4 or 5x5x5, and it's got numbers on the side, and you have to chip away at it to pull a sculpture out of it. It's kind of fun. It's like a logic-based thing. So I was playing that, and I also put about 12 hours into Pokemon. Can't stop the Pokemon.
We'll talk about this soon. I've been playing a new game on a new device of mine. I've been playing Cut the Rope, which is also very addictive.
Yes, I am familiar with it.
I don't know why. Well, maybe we should just transition into this topic. Do you have more that you want to talk about your vacation, Shawn? Maybe we just move on.
We ate a whole pizza on the way home. That was fun.
You and Alicia ate a whole pizza? What size of pizza?
Medium.
Medium. What were the toppings?
Just pepperoni. We were on the way out of the island, and you have to... it's an island, and you have to you have to take a ferry, a 40-minute ferry. So on the way out of the island, we were like, we didn't eat dinner yet, so it's either get something now or wait till we're on the other side. And she was like, why don't we get a pizza and take it on the ferry? And I was like, I knew there was a reason I married you. So we grabbed a pizza and we ate it on the ferry.
That's awesome. What kind of pizza? Like local?
Yeah, just some place on the island. It was good.
I like a good pizza.
We eat way too much frozen pizza that we forget like what actual pizza is like.
There is a great pizza place down near where I used to work in Richmond that does just like real big, flat, awesome, delicious, greasy New York style pizza. And it also looks like it's run by the Russian mafia, but it's so good. And it's like $1.50 for a slice or something. It's man, I kind of want to go there.
Okay, enter the debate here: New York versus Chicago.
Debate? Are you kidding me? There's no debate. Chicago style pizza is terrible.
Okay, so someone will hold up that end of the argument for us.
Email Shawn. chancesarelimited@gmail.com.
That's the one.
I mean, like, Chicago style pizza is not pizza. It's like
it's a pie. It's a pizza pie.
It's like I know it's not the same, but it's like Sicilian pizza, that like thick with it's very different.
Yeah,
very different.
There's a place here in Lancaster that it's called Cibo's. In case anyone from the area is listening, they have just about every type and in between, and they have this thing that's, I think it's called spaghetti pizza, that it is like,
oh, heard of that.
It's like an inch or an inch and a half thick, and it's stuffed with meatballs and spaghetti noodles, and it doesn't seem like pizza, but it's called pizza.
Right. I'm not saying that Chicago style or deep dish style is bad. I'm saying it's not pizza. It's fine, and I go to Chicago frequently. I'm going there in like a week and a half or something, and I've been. So I would consider my home to be either Columbus, Ohio, or Washington D.C., and I have been in Chicago 4 times more than I've been in either of those places in the past year, and I've gotten deep dish pizza there, and it's fine. It's good. Maybe Ron should talk about this. He's in Chicago, right?
Yeah, he might have strong opinions on pizza.
You might have some strong opinions about this. I think it's good. So I'll say this. I think it's good. I enjoy it. But, one, I prefer New York style pizza, like that you fold and,
thin and greasy?
With few toppings.
Yeah.
The fewer the toppings, the better.
You pick like 1 or 2.
Right. And I'm not talking like the whole upper middle class, like, I'm going to make a pizza on a pizza stone with like basil and, and goat's cheese. And it's like, there's a place for that. And I also don't think that's pizza, but, it's like, it's roasted over a fire in a hearth. And I'm like, whatever.
Like, you want some chubby Italian guy, like, choosing the toppings for you. Like, no, you're getting pepperoni.
I want, like, cheese and maybe a meat. 1. And no vegetables, please. Maybe mushrooms. Big thing that you have to fold over because it's giant, that can barely fit on a...
They give you a paper plate, but it's spilling over the edges of the plate.
Yes, the paper plate has to be like microscopically thin, and the grease is destroying
You can see through the plate by the time you're done.
Through it, and you're just get in your mouth, and it's so good. It is so good, and you want like a Coke with that, or
Man, I just ate dinner before we started, but now I'm hungry.
Right? I think everyone should be hungry right now. That's what I want. Like, deep dish style Chicago pizza in the thing, there's like a process with that too. Like that deep, like it usually comes in that like black, thick, deep pie holder thing.
Right.
That's really different. That's no. I mean, So Shawn knows that I listen to the podcasts on the 5x5 network, and I promise we didn't talk. He did not mention he was going to talk about pizza to me.
I didn't really know I was going to talk about pizza.
We didn't know. A very recent podcast of Build and Analyze with Marco Arment and Dan Benjamin, they talked about this, and I will bring up what Marco said about deep dish style pizza. He was talking about, another topic we're going to talk about soon, he mentioned Louis. He was talking about in the opening title credits for Louis, he goes to a pizza place and he folds over a pizza and eats it, like that. That's what I'm talking about.
And throughout the show, you will just see him in pizza places having conversations with people because it's just like part of New York daily living.
So anyway, Marco was talking about like you can do that with Chicago-style pizza. I mean, like trying to fold over a Chicago-style pizza would be trying to like fold a cake over itself and eating it.
You need to be sitting and you need a fork.
Yeah, that's true. And I'll close with there is a really good. It's always the same things with me, Sean. There's a really good episode of No Reservations with Anthony Bourdain, where he goes to Chicago and he's really a New Yorker. Like he is really a New Yorker, and he likes New York style pizza. And he goes to Chicago and he has deep dish pizza and he eats it and he enjoys it. But he acknowledges like this is very different. You have to eat it with a fork and a knife. I think he described it as very much like lasagna.
Right. When I'm talking about the spaghetti pizza, that's actually kind of what it felt like eating.
Yeah. I would agree that it's good, but I think that calling it pizza it's like it hurts it. It should be called something different. It should be called like I don't know. In the comments, suggest a name for Chicago-style pizza. See, you can't even do that because then the people who are very pro Chicago-style pizza are like, no, you're taking this away from us.
Change the name of New York pizza.
Yeah, exactly. It's like your pizza is like. I was gonna say a really bad word, so I'm gonna possibly shock some people right now.
If you haven't already, with your accusations.
With my and insinuations. If you follow me on Twitter, you likely already know what I'm about to talk about, though. And I mentioned it on here too. So if you have a memory longer than a goldfish, or you follow me on Twitter, you already know that I bought a Nexus 7 tablet.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. That I am holding in my hands right now, this very second. And I've had it on for a while now, even on previous podcasts, and I have held off talking about it because I kind of really wanted to use it.
Right. It takes you a little while.
Right. I didn't want to just like open it up and like start like, oh, I'm gonna podcast with Shawn and say stuff about this. Although the very first thing I tweeted about it is that the unboxing experience is not good. It's not good. I don't know if these little details really matter for most people, but like it's a box in a box, and like the boxes are like not really shaped very well, so it's tough to get them out, and you gotta take like a knife, and you gotta and the tablet is like sitting kind of like pushed up a little inside of the box it's in, so that when you open it, it's like prone to like flip out. Like it's like. I feel like someone could have spent just like 20 minutes thinking a little bit about the box and made it a little bit better, and at least I would have been happier.
Yeah, I think people make a big deal of the boxing. Like CNET, I trust their reviews pretty heavily, and they always will put up a video of what the boxing is like. Like they'll take a brand new product and for the first time take it out of the box and show you all of the stuff and the way it looks.
I will give the box and the boxing experience of this device like a C+. It was not good. And the reason why, the biggest reason I would give it like such a low grade is that when after I fought with all of the boxes and boxes and boxes, they had designed it in such a way that there was so much pressure on the tablet itself that when I opened the last box, it flipped out onto my table. And if I had...
Was it like in slow motion where you're like, no?
Kind of. I'm like, oh, don't touch the screen. I mean, like, it's a tablet. I'm like, I don't want something to, right when I take it out of its casing, to mess up the screen. Like, you know. Whereas, so I'm thinking to Apple devices, even other Android devices that I've had, at least the device itself was so secure inside of its enclosure that I had no fear that it could possibly be damaged the second I opened it.
Yeah.
So I was disappointed. And Asus made this device for Google. I was disappointed that it seems like they spent so little attention to the box. So, but they obviously spent a lot of attention to the device. And I have nothing but praise for this device.
Oh, good.
Which is probably new to people who listen to this.
This podcast that could have been called Carter Complains About Things.
Well, I'm still going to complain about it, but I like it. So the back. I kind of want to talk about the back. So I'm going to talk about the hardware first, not Android. The device itself, it's a little over 7 inches diagonal, and all the rumors are, growing and blossoming that, Apple is going to make a smaller iPad that is kind of in this range. The rumors have kind of coalesced around that it will be kind of bigger than this. So it will not be exactly the same form factor.
Okay.
I just want. It will be more. So this is like 7 inches diagonal. Everything that I've read about an Apple device in this category is that it will be around 8 inches, which is kind of like a lot.
And what is the iPad HD now?
Yeah, it's 10.
It's 10. Okay.
Yeah. So, the reason why I think this works so well is the form factor. It's long and skinny.
Mm-hmm. It's a 16:9 ratio?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I believe that, or it's my opinion that Google and the people who do Android, they've got a really good OS for mobile devices for this form factor for phones. And that the tablet, I've used tablets of theirs that are more iPad-y, and when they try to do that 3x4,
yeah,
it doesn't work at all. It's not designed for it, and it looks weird, and it doesn't work the way that you think it should. So that's why I think this device works. It looks like I don't mean this in a disparaging way. It looks like a really big phone.
Yeah, I get that. I've been looking at the newest phones that are on my service, Verizon Wireless, and all I can think of is they are small tablets. Like, they're 5 inches diagonally, and they're that 16:9 factor. And I have a Kindle Fire, which is just a little bit bigger than that, and I'm like, this is a small tablet.
I think you're on to the right track there, by the way. I think that the whole tablet computing metaphor is going to be taking over a lot of...
They just need to have them have voice over IP, and we won't need phones.
Well, I gotta deal with those whole phone carriers and whatnot, and, whatever. So let's continue talking about the hardware. This thing is light. It is very light.
It's 340 grams.
Would you say that your Kindle Fire is light?
No, not really. It doesn't feel. It's got a heft to it.
This is feather light. It feels like a phone.
I'll look up how heavy it is, actually.
The lightness of this device makes it feel super portable. Like, I have a backpack that I usually take with me. I will heft my giant MacBook Pro with me to work and back, but I don't like to put it in my backpack because it weighs like 5 pounds, which is a lot.
On your back, yeah.
My iPad weighs like a pound.
Okay, it's actually about the same weight, but obviously the Nexus 7 is bigger.
Sure. So, my iPad... So, here's a thing that I'm frequently confronted with. I usually have to take my MacBook Pro with me for work. Like, I gotta do stuff. It's my computer. It's the thing that I do computery stuff with. But I also would like to do mobile stuff with. And it's a really weird world that we live in. So I've got this. I'm pulling this out too. I have my phone with me. I have my iPhone with me.
You're just gonna set up all your rectangles next to each other.
Yeah, I can do a lot of stuff on this thing, but At this point in my life and in the world, uh, a lot of the stuff that I do on my iPhone, I would rather do on a slightly larger device.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't exist when the iPhone originally existed, and if I'm in like a crutch, I would obviously use my iPhone. Like if I'm at a bar and someone says, I think, hey, didn't the Orioles win the World Series and blah, blah, blah? I'm like, you know what? I'm going to look that up right now. And I'm going to pull up Safari and look it up. Or, it's like people are talking about the Orioles, and I'm like, I don't care what you're talking about. I'm going to play some Angry Birds. Because this is a boring conversation to me right now, and you're being boring, and I want to not listen to you. I'll do that on my iPhone. But most of those tasks now, if I'm not, sorry to be graphic, if I'm not in a bathroom or on like public transportation, I probably don't want to do that on my iPhone if I don't have to. And there's this new class of devices where I can do that. And I have two of them. I have my iPad and I have a Nexus 7. My iPad kind of wins out on a lot of these because it has cellular networking and the Nexus 7 doesn't. And that's kind of a big minus.
Yeah.
Like a really big minus for
me.
I
was reading on my Kindle Fire at the beach, and I was without internet almost the entire week. And I pulled up the book I was reading on my phone, and I was like, why in the world is it not syncing to my furthest read look? Oh my God, the Kindle Fire isn't on the internet, so it can't tell Amazon where I am in the book.
You've yes.
Is that it? I nailed it?
You've identified it. You've nailed so.
It's kind of a problem. I
have identified
until our country goes like Wi-Fi nationwide, cross fingers, wish for science fiction.
I have okay, I'm going to wrap up the hardware stuff and then we'll talk about the software and talk about what you just talked about. The last thing I want to talk about, the hardware, is the back, and it's this like soft touch plastic.
Okay, that's what the Fire's like.
And it's got little dots all over it.
Grippy dots.
And I really wanted to call Asus and Google out on this. Positively. They said they want what they were going for was reminding people of like Steve McQueen's gloves in Bullet.
That's right. I remember that.
And I'm like, good job.
That's cool.
That's cool. Like, I think like crazy people who comment on videos on YouTube or like people who whatever want to just like say things. This is a really good little design detail that makes a product better, right? I don't want. So have I mentioned the Open Pandora product from the UK? I think I did. It's a little emulator thing from the UK.
Yeah. It can. It's like a Linux OS.
Right. Yeah. You can like run whatever you want on it, and it looks horrible. And
it's kind of a clunky looking thing.
It's so clunky, and it's got a whole keyboard on it, and it's got everything you could possibly want. It's got a USB connection. It's got a mini USB connection. It's got everything. And since no one thought about the design or cared about the design, it looks like kind of bad. It doesn't look like, it's not pleasant. And
like, remember how boxy computers looked like at the end of the 1980s?
Or the end of the 1990s, or today. Like, the people who use the Open Pandora, they're like, well, I just want to use the MAME emulator on it. It's like, I don't care that it doesn't look very nice, but a lot of people do care about.
There's a reason that's not a mainstream crossover product.
And it's not because it's expensive, and it's not because a lot of people don't like the video games of the 80s. One of the reasons is that it's not pleasant.
It's not appealing.
People care about how things look. People, and to argue that they don't or that that's dumb is dumb. I mean, like, to say, like, well, my thing is better than yours, and you just won because you're prettier. It's like, well, yeah, but people like pretty things. Why shouldn't that be? There's a. Have you seen Sean? Have you seen the Nova episode?
I'm just gonna go ahead and say no.
Okay.
But continue.
Battle of the X-Planes.
Okay.
No.
No.
No. I'll try and find it, and we'll get it in the show notes. So there's this great Nova episode, and I'm a dork, whatever, I don't care. There's
nothing wrong with PBS, man.
PBS, oh man, that's great. There's a great Nova episode about the Department of Defense was trying to basically replace all of their old fleets with kind of like one new design that was kind of versatile and that could work for both, like, you know, the Army actually uses planes, believe it or not, and then the Marines and the Navy, and they were trying to let's get a whole new basically like a framework.
They wanted a Swiss Army knife of plane.
Yeah, and they're like, we want a new thing, and we'll it'll work for all of our services, and it will last for like 20 or 30 years, because they were working on stuff that was made in like the 60s and 70s. So
and they still are.
Well, kind of, yeah. No, basically, I mean, like the thing that won in this competition in the 90s is very slowly making its way. I mean, this is we don't need to go down this road. So
one person is like, no, that's my favorite subject.
The government. The DoD had like a contest for getting this new plane, and basically, you know, we don't need to like get way into it. There were two competitors. It was Boeing and Lockheed Martin.
Sounds right.
They're always the children of the 80s, children of the 90s. They are, you know, they always are in these competitions. So they built planes, and they tested them out, and I don't want to spoil Battle of the X-Planes, but Boeing lost and Lockheed Martin won. And in this episode, in this like thing about like kind of heavy stuff, like weighty stuff, you know, it's like this is, we're gonna invest tens of billions of dollars into this thing, and it's going to kind of protect Americans. Something that came up was that the Boeing test plane was uglier than the Lockheed Martin plane. It didn't look as good. So the Lockheed Martin plane kind of looked like a spaceship. You know, it had angles, and the Boeing plane... You guys should look this up. I think it was called... Ah, man, I don't know what it was called. It was called like the... So, experimental planes are... I think they... so, in the United States, planes have an F in front of them. So,
right.
Like the F-16, the F-18. I think that experimental planes just get an XF. And I don't remember, but I think it's like it was like the XF like 32 or something. That was the Boeing plane, and it had one big engine on the underside of like the carriage, like the structure, and it had this big intake on the front, and it looked like kind of a like big fish mouth. And it was not attractive. And they said in the show, yeah, that Boeing plane, man, it's not very attractive. And the Lockheed plane is. It looks kind of sexy. It, you know, looks like a woman. And I bring it up because this podcast that I'm talking about brings it up. And like, people, when you hold a thing in your hands, you want it to look good. You want it to feel good. You want it to look sexy, right? You don't want it to be some clunky, dumb thing, right? You know, it's like, that's important. And it's important because we're all, you know, lived on the Serengeti and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, form matters. Function is not the sole thing.
And I will say that the Nexus 7 it's an attractive device. Very attractive. I love the back. I love touching it. And also, functionally...
We're going to give people the wrong idea about what's going on over there.
Well, shut up. Functionally, so I also have an iPad. That slick back, you can't put that thing on a couch. It's...
one bump and it slips right off.
Right off. Having a plastic back, there are a lot of good things you get out of that. Oh, besides the whole Steve McQueen bullet. Whatever, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I love the design. It's very good. You know what I hate about it? You turn the thing around, you're looking at this sexy back. It says Nexus in lowercase letters, which is fine. I'm like, okay. It's got the speaker at the bottom. Okay. And then it says Asus. What the fuck is Asus? If I'm a normal consumer and you're trying to make me buy this device, and I'm like, oh, this is a nice thing. I mean, oh, what's this? Ooh, Nexus. Yeah, I just bought this Nexus. And then Asus.
What is this as us?
Asus. What is this? And that's one of those. It's one of those areas where Apple wins because Apple owns the hardware and the software, and Google increasingly they
have to rely on other parties.
Yeah, they gotta get other people to buy it. It's too bad. So there's a button at the top right. I push. It's the sleep awake. I do a swipe to the right or left or whatever. It doesn't matter. And it turns the device on. This is the reason why I bought the device. I wanted to see... So all of you people who are like, why would Carter buy an Android device? He's an Android hater. He doesn't like Android. I wanted to get the device that had the best hardware with the most advanced Android software on it and just like play with it and use it and see, how it worked.
See what all the kids are talking about?
Works pretty good, man.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was playing with a Galaxy S3, and I've been stuck on Android 2.4. I don't even know what iteration that was called on my phone for so long. Playing with this thing, I was like, this is so silky smooth.
They have... So, I think we may have mentioned this when we talked about the Google keynote, when they talked about all of this, that they had this project called Project Butter.
Yeah.
Trying to make things smoother. And here's where I've just got to be kind of a stupid Apple fanboy and say, there were no... this stuff did not impact the Apple industry back in 2007 when they made iPhone OS, but, they focused on different things, and I understand. So
yeah.
Now, and I used a Droid back in, 2009. I hated it, and I had an Atrix in 2011, and I hated it. So I've got this new thing. It's pretty smooth. Finally, it does not feel juddery.
Yeah.
Except apps. And I think this is not Google's fault. It's not, the guys running this program. It's not their fault.
These are the developers.
Yeah. So the one app I used... So I use two apps the most. One is the Kindle app.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about that in a second. The other is Cut the Rope. I've been playing this game, Cut the Rope, a lot. Can you hear it?
Yes, I can.
There it is. There you go. I've been playing Cut the Rope a lot.
You can't play while we talk, Carter.
Sorry.
I've been playing Pokemon for half an hour, but...
Well, whatever. So I've been playing Cut the Rope. It's smooth like butter. Lane would say. We should get her on here again. Except when it moves from a level to a loading screen, it's really...
Yeah. I've seen that in Angry Birds on my Kindle.
The
frame rate will drop to 1 frame every 2 seconds.
Oh, it's horrible. The animation they have, it's like you can't see the hand, but it looks like a box cutter knife, like going through the box,
Yeah.
like cutting open or sealing it, and it goes like dun, 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 dun. And it's just like obvious that like this thing, like here's the thing that drives me absolutely crazy. You've got these Android fanboys who are like, it's got a Tegra 3 quad-core processor with this and that, and it's got a gig of RAM, and it's like the best thing ever. And it's like, yeah, but I'm opening Cut the Rope, one of the like smallest apps ever, and it goes. And
Where's
like,
that quad processor right now?
it's like that quad-core processor means nothing if the developer doesn't fucking do something with his or her app to make that app work with that processor and with that RAM. It's like this is the like this Nexus 7. I'm pretty sure I can say there is no other Android running machine better than this right now, right? It's got a Tegra 3, it's got a gig of RAM, it's like the best.
It's nice.
And you know what? It is nice. It's actually really nice. And when I'm doing the Google apps, it's awesome. It's as good as iOS. It's probably not better, but it's as good, right? It's like so smooth and everything.
They've made up some ground in the past couple years.
Project Butter. It's like this thing is great. And I'm going to bring up right now Kindle. And why I have not sold this machine. Like, I just wanted to see what Android works like on the best hardware, and I'm gonna tell the truth. Kindle on an iPad is not very good. I had a really bad experience, and the reason why is that thing is too damn big.
Oh, the screen is too big.
The screen's too big. So you either have
big text or too much text?
Yes. You either have giant text and you're like, feel dumb, or
I'm reading a picture book.
Or if you want the normal size text, you can do two things. You can do one, you can read it like up and down, and when I'm reading the tiny text on the Kindle on the iPad, I feel like I'm reading like work documentation. It's like tiny, teeny, tiny, takes up the whole screen. So I don't want to do that. So the only real good way to read that is to turn it on its side, and then you have two columns.
Okay.
Oh, no, that's wrong. You've failed. Sorry, Apple, you failed. This is wrong. And I pick up this Kindle, and also, do you mind if I... Oh,
everything makes sounds.
Sorry. I want to play one sound. If you can hear this on our podcast, I hope you can. I flip from Cut the Rope to the Kindle app on the Nexus 7, and one, I'm going to talk about one in a second. The Kindle app is great, but two, you get this sound when you use the buttons, and this is why I'm not hating Google right now. They've paid attention to these little details like the sounds. So I'm going to put my microphone right near the speaker, and I'm going to push one of the buttons. Can you hear this?
Little clicky sounds?
They've got little clicky sounds on the like home and back and multitasking buttons. Do you hear that?
Yeah, these are soft keys, right?
Yeah, they're not real.
Right. But they're making clicking sounds like real ones.
And it's not just that they're making a clicky sound, because like the clicky sound could be like bruh. but it's not bruh, it's they made a good clicky sound.
It feels satisfying. Does it have haptic feedback or anything?
Well, it's got a clicky sound.
Okay.
I mean, no, it doesn't have. It doesn't like caress my thumb and say thank you for clicking me, but it makes a clicky sound, and I like.
I want that device.
I'll come later. So it's got a clicky sound, and I really, really like the clicky sound. And I'm talking about, like, can I just say, I'm talking about an Android device. Like, if people want to complain about, in the comments about, like, Carter only likes, you know, random crazy things, like, that's fine. But, like, I'm saying on an Android device, like, this is good. I wish, like, that clicky sound is important. It gives you feedback.
Right.
Because I'm tapping on this flat screen. That clicky sound is important, and also the fact that it's satisfying is good.
Yeah.
They could have chose.
I'm doing something.
Yeah, they could have chose to make the clicky sound be like, but they didn't. They made it be good. I like that they made it be good. Hey Shawn. Can I share? So they've got this. So Google Play is very deeply integrated with this device.
Mm-hmm.
And it has no cellular networking, which is like terrible. Google, you guys totally failed, and you screwed up. Don't ever do that again. I have a lot of Wi-Fi in my life, so I'm fine. But like, no, seriously, don't ever do that again. Do you know what one of the basically the first song that I put on this device was?
Something by Jonathan Colton.
It is something by Jonathan Colton.
Nice.
With featuring Jonathan Roderick.
John Roderick.
On Jonathan Colton's Artificial Heart, which you performed on your 5 things.
I think I'm familiar with that song.
I think you are. I will close with, this is a great device. This is like, and,
yeah, you sound impressed.
It's $200, $199 to get the thing. So I will say the nail in its coffin is it doesn't have 3G networking. That kind of sucks. Really sucks. So like, and
well, they needed to leave something for second generation,
and to keep the price down.
Right.
But for $199, you can get a very good device that, when you're on Wi-Fi, here's something I didn't mention. Here is one of my biggest complaints. When I was on my Android devices that were phones, and I went on the internet, it was so stuttery and so, like, I would double tap to like zoom in, like on my iOS device, and it would be like, it wouldn't do it.
Yeah, that's one of the things I noticed with the Galaxy S3 compared to my phone. My phone I'm still dealing with that. Like, I will open a page and I'll zoom into the text and it will auto format, and then the page will keep loading, and I'm like trying to read the article. I'm like, I'm already here. The only part that I need is the text. I'm already reading it. And the phone's like, oh, you want to be at the top of the page, right? And it puts me back up there. And then I'm like, no, I want to go look at the text. And I scroll down and it's like, but you want to be at the top of the page, right? And it does it like 6 times before it finally lets me go. I hate that.
And that's so annoying. Like, you gotta like take normal human beings and have them use your device
and watch them do what I'm doing and be like, oh, hey, stop. No, stop.
And take that feedback and make changes based on it. And it seems like that has not happened until now with Android. But it's happened, and I will tell you all, it's happened. Like, you can go. I was very skeptical. When I opened the internet on this Nexus 7, I was like, I'm all right. Here's this pain and bondage that I'm used to with Android, and I'm gonna double tap, and it's gonna be like, oh, do you want me to open this new web page? And I'm like, oh, great. I gotta go back, do blah blah blah. And I was like, no. Oh, this is good.
No, it's fine now. It's fixed.
Yeah. Oh. I have to be my complainy self on the hardware. The Nexus 7 has this like giant, comparatively to other devices, it has this giant front-facing camera. It makes the whole thing look really ugly. I almost wish it didn't even have it. Right in the center of this like big black sheer thing, very attractive. It's got this chrome around the outside. You look right at it. It's got this kind of like grayish thing right at the top, circle at the top.
It's got a big brother eye staring at you.
I mean, like, like, who would use this? Like, what Google's, / Android has been saying is that, oh, it's for Google Hangouts, and I'm like, yeah, I guess that's true, but it's really ugly, and it doesn't have 3G networking, so blah, 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 blah. I'm complaining. I have found a use for this device in my day-to-day life, and it is reading books. This is my Kindle right now.
Right.
This is my Kindle device. I have all of my Kindle books on it. It looks great. Like, this form factor, when you get the size of the text kind of small to where on an iPad it would cause you to have 2 columns, this thing is like less than half the size of that, and it looks like you're reading on a book.
Yeah.
And it's not retina display, blah, blah, blah. I think that, whatever, that's great and all.
It's still 1280 pixels in that 7-inch display. It probably doesn't look bad.
It doesn't look bad. It looks fine. Like, maybe you can tell that there are little jaggy things and certain stuff, but this is great to read a book. This is awesome to read a book. This is excellent to read a book. And I will say, I have read an entire book on this, and it was great, and I would continue to do it. And if the only thing I did was read a book on this device, it would have been worth it. And I get to, when I'm on Wi-Fi, the one caveat, I get to browse the internet, read my email, tweet, and there are some apps. There's not a lot of apps, but there are some.
There's Cut the Rope.
And I have it, and it's fun. So, if you are looking for a really good Android experience, and you read a lot of Kindle books, you should probably buy this thing. It's pretty good.
Consumer Reports as reported by Carter.